In today's tax tip, how much in taxes should you withhold from your paycheck? Jim Uren, a financial planner at Phase 3 Advisory Services, is here to help. Jim, everybody's different, of course, but how much should you withhold? Because if you get this wrong, you're actually giving the government your money, and it's an interest-free loan for the government to use however the government wants to use instead of you investing that money.
Yes, that's correct. Thanks for having me, Angela. It's good to talk to you again. Yes, it does vary, as you said, a little bit based on your goals. And so you could get to the point where either having them withhold too much or too little. You can't withhold too little because if you have too little withheld, you can actually end up paying a penalty because the IRS requires you to kind of pay as you go. And so you don't want to withhold too little. And yet at the same time, some people get these huge refunds and they're excited about them. The problem with that is that you're basically giving a free loan to the government. Now, that may not have been as big of a deal a couple years ago, but now that interest rates have come up, you can actually earn some money with that money in your checking account that you couldn't before. So we don't want you to get such a large refund that you're literally giving away free money to the IRS.
Back in the day, paycheck withholding forms ask you to claim 0 or 1. What's the latest?
Yeah, that's a good question. The way the form actually has changed, they no longer have you put a 1 or a 0. They have you put essentially how many children you have. So they ask the question a little bit differently. And so one way is to go ahead and use that form that the employer gives you and just kind of fill out your best guess as to what the answers to those questions are. That's usually our least favorite recommended way to do it. The better way to do it is, one, if you can have your CPA or tax preparer help you fill out that W-4 form that your new employer gives you. That will give you the best accurate withholdings, and of course, the easiest for you because you have them do it. The second best option, though, if you're going to do it on your own, you can actually Google the IRS tax estimator, tax withholdings estimator, and it will ask you a lot more detailed questions and then give you exactly what to put on that W-4. And in fact, it will print out the W-4 that you can give to your employer. That will help ensure that you get that exact right amount of tax withholdings, because I want you to hit that what we call the Goldilocks goal. We want you to have, pretty much right on with what you owe, not again having too much that you get it back in a refund, but you also don't want to get a surprise tax bill either, because that's no fun for anybody.
When can somebody make an adjustment on their withholding if they realize now that they could use that money to invest or pay off debt?
Great question. You can actually make an adjustment at any time by just simply providing your employer with the new W-4 form. However, if you make that adjustment, let's say in December, you have to recognize that it'll change your paycheck withholdings, but it's only going to affect your overall tax return for the year slightly. It won't be till the next year that new change will take effect. But you can make that request anytime.
What are some reasons to make adjustments to the withholding in your paycheck?
The reason to make an adjustment is really an anticipation of a tax bill changing, and that could really be one of a few things. One would be if your income changes. Often that's income related to a job outside of the one that you're providing the W-4 form for, because that employer knows, but perhaps you or your spouse picked up a part-time job, or your spouse got a significant pay raise. Another would be if your family status changes. So perhaps you have had a child, or maybe one of your kids has kind of grown up and left the house and they're on their own, or perhaps you've gotten married or divorced. That also affects your tax return and is a great reason to submit a new W-4 to your employer. And the third is just for some reason if your overall tax deductions are going to change. So perhaps you are now eligible for a tax credit you didn't get before. Maybe you're going to buy an electric vehicle or something, or maybe you and your spouse are going to be making a substantially large gift to charity this next year, and that's going to help bring down your tax bill. Those are all great reasons why you may want to consider amending your W-4 form with your employer.
Thank you so much, Jim.
Thank you, Angela.
Go to businessfirstam.com for where to see our show on TV.